Yeah, hello there, dear friends. This is Bob Hatton. This is your encourager, and I hope that I'm coming to you with some encouraging words. Now we're coming into the Christmas time. We've just got about another 3 weeks and then we'll be celebrating Christmas. We have the Christmas Eve on the 24th of December and then Christmas Day on the 25th of December. Just a few weeks. So during these next 24 days, I'd like just to go through this Christmas story with you. We sometimes ask ourselves, what is the real meaning of Christmas? And of course, for Christians, the meaning of Christmas is that God sent his son into the world. He sent him to in flesh to be like a man and to come and live among us and to serve us, and in the end, in fact, to die for us, to give his life as a ransom for many. And although it seems to be a very important story for the Christians, in the 4 Gospels that we have, we only find it really in one Gospel. I mean, Matthew mentions something about what we celebrate at Christmas. He tells us that Jesus was born in Bethlehem and that he's going to be Emmanuel, God with us. But they were to give him the name Jesus because he would save his people from their sins. Jesus means God saves. So when we look in John's Gospel, John mentions, with a little bit of imagination, then John mentions the Christmas story in chapter 1 and verse 14. He says, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us." And then, of course, Mark's Gospel doesn't mention Christmas at all. Suddenly Jesus is there. And he doesn't tell us how he got to be with us or anything else. But it's Luke's Gospel. And Luke was the only person, only writer of the whole Bible who isn't actually Jewish. He was a Greek. He had a Greek background. We know that he was a doctor. He was quite a clever person, and in a kind of a Greek way, he set out the story of Jesus, and he did it chronologically and told us the stories how they happened. And of course, it's from him who we have the background to the Christmas story. He tells us that Mary and Joseph, they left Nazareth and they came to Bethlehem, and how Jesus was born there, and about the shepherds on the field, and where we get the Christmas story from, that's mainly from Luke's Gospel. But as well as having the biblical story, I don't know how you celebrate Christmas, and I realize that this message is not just going out to people in Europe, but it's going even farther. And you might be asking yourself, we have so many different different customs at Christmas. Where do they come from, and what do they mean? If you can see me sitting down here, I have got a little display with some fir trees, evergreen trees, and some crystal or some glass balls here, decoration, and 4 candles. But at the moment, there's only 1 candle burning, and we call this an Advent's wreath, and it's telling us that the first Advent, the first Sunday in Advent, has passed, and we've got another 3 Sundays, 4 Advent Sundays, and then Christmas will come. But where did it come from? Is there any meaning behind it? And I hope I can tell you the story of the origin of this Advent's wreath. And then in a few weeks, we'll get a fir tree, and we'll bring it into our house, and we'll decorate it, and we'll put some lights on it or some candles on it. And that's what we do here at Christmas. That's one of our customs. Well, what does it mean? Some people say they're simply pagan traditions that we have we have adopted. And I wonder if that's right. I'm going to try to explain to you and show you. Of course, at Christmas, we have a lot of snow. And I suppose if you're living in Africa and listening to this, you'll be scratching your head, or if you're in Sri Lanka or India and thinking of snow coming in your place. It never ever happens. But at Christmas we think of snow, and what does that really mean? Does that really have any connection to Christmas? And of course, I'm sure you've seen this big fat old man with a white beard and a red costume, who some people call Father Christmas and other people call him Santa Claus, etc. Now, on the 6th of December, that's also just in a few days, we have St. Nicholas Day. And in Germany, it's also something that is celebrated. But what does that have to do with Christmas? Well, I hope I'll be able to tell you these things. Because some people say, well, Christmas was just a pagan festival and the Christians stole it from the pagans. The pagans used to worship the sun, and the Christians stole it and worship the Son of God. I wonder if that's true. So just bear with me, and I'll try to explain these things as we go along. Well, today, just let me tell you why I like Christmas. I like Christmas because the Christmas story is a real story. It's not a fairy story. It's not something that has been made up. It's not something that is so fantastic that would never happen. There are a couple of things that really challenge our understanding, really challenge our thinking, our mind, and that throughout this Christmas story in the Bible, we have the appearance of supernatural beings that we call angels. And an angel is a messenger who has come from God. And not because they've been in the presence of God, they're normally shining with his glory, and they seem to be very special beings. They seem to appear from nowhere, and they bring good messages. They got good news to tell people, like Zacharias, who was Jesus' uncle. He was the father of John the Baptist, and Elizabeth was his wife, and although they were very, very old and didn't have any children in their old age, they had a little boy, called him John, and he became John the Baptist. And an angel appeared to Mary and announced that Jesus would be born. The central theme of Christmas, that the Virgin gave birth to a boy. And when the angel said, Mary, you're going to have a baby, she said, how can that be? Because I don't have I've never had any relations with any man. And the angel said, what with man is impossible is with God possible. Now, I've told you previously, I've been on the way with Jesus now for 51 years, nearly 52 years. And during this time, I've experienced so many wonderful things. And I can really identify with these words of the angel. What is impossible with man is possible with God. And I think that is really something that we need to take notice of. I've also had some experiences with angels, which seems to be very, very spooky maybe, but actually very good, encouraging incidents in my life. If I can get to it, I'll tell you about this. But it's a real story, and that's what really inspires me. Actually, when I read through the Bible, I'm so inspired because it has a historical background, and it's about historical people. It's about people who really lived about what they did and what they said. And so, of course, I mentioned that Luke is the one who gives us a lot of details, and he tells us the time. He tells us when this actually happened. It didn't happen once upon a time, but it happened when Augustus was the Caesar in Rome. He was the emperor in Rome, and Quirinius, he was the governor in Damascus, in the province of Syria. Israel belonged to the province of Syria. And he tells us, he mentions that King Herod was reigning in Jerusalem, and he mentions the times, and then he mentions people. He tells us about Joseph. He tells us about Mary. He also tells us about the shepherds. And the shepherds, to be a shepherd meant really you're an unreliable witness. And if Luke was trying to make a watertight case, just inventing this story, he wouldn't have taken the shepherds to be the witness of this, because the shepherds were discredited. They were declared as unclean. They were on the edge of society. They weren't allowed into the places of worship, but they were the first people, besides Mary and Joseph, they were the first outsiders who heard that Christ the Lord has been born in the city of David, and they went and they were the first ones who worshipped him. And then there's some other people mentioned. There's an old guy called Simeon and an older lady called Anna. They're mentioned in this story. So there's real people in here. There's a real time frame, and of course they're real places. We learned that Joseph and Maria, they lived in Nazareth, and they had to go to Jerusalem because of the census. Not to Jerusalem, they had to go to Bethlehem because of the census that was being taken. This is another historical event that happened when August was Caesar was the emperor in Rome, and Quirinius was the governor in Syria. So this has a real background with real people, with real time. It's not something that's just been made up. And this is what inspires me really very much. It's a real story. And this real story has real power behind it, because something, this story has changed the world. This story has influenced the world over the last 2,000 years. And in the next days, we're going to have a look at that. So I hope you have a good day today. God bless you. I'm looking forward to continue with this story tomorrow. God bless you. Have a good day. You're Bob Hatton, your encourager.